Well, hello, my YouTube friends. Master Bob Terzuola made me a knife. I don't know if it's gonna get any better in this video. I might just show it to you for a couple of minutes to show it to you that piece and stop that video right now because I don't know if I'm gonna say anything that would be more interesting than that or more meaningful for me than that, because that sums it up, my friend. Bob Terzuola, the master, made me a knife. I am overjoyed. And you know what? Since I am a rambler, I don't know if it's even English, I don't know, I love to ramble, I'm still going to continue this video because each time I open that knife, I am in awe. I mean, when I open it, or even when it's closed. I mean, there is not a single dot on this knife that I am not in awe and contemplation each time I have it in my hand. So yeah, for the little story, or the big story, and the big story is Bob Terzuola. Simple as that. I mean, that's the master's master. My friend, a word about that. I mean, we as collector, and you that are following my channel, either you're a collector or you like to see beautiful knives once in a while like that, but you know, this is where we should invest not only our money, but our spirit, I would say. We should invest it in those makers. I mean, a guy like Bob Terzuola is kind of unique. I mean, he was there at the start. He's one of the first custom knife maker, one of the first. I mean, he wrote the book about how, literally how to make a custom knife, a tactical knife. Yeah, we're talking about tactical and custom knife, of course. He, along with Michael Walker nowadays, Tom Mayo, there's not even a handful of them. Those guys, they created that market, the art, and they are still here. And as for Bob, it's incredible because he is improving his craft by the day or the year, I don't know. Take, for example, this little sucker here, the low profile flipper tab. I mean, 4 or 5 years ago, 5 years ago, Bob didn't make any flipper. I mean, he was like, you know, the traditional Terzuola. Those are like thumb studs, thumb disc, sorry, for the main part, and then you're gonna have some thumb stud, but that is it. I mean, he didn't do any kind of flipper. Then he came with flippers, but the first one were like the regular flipper, like aligned with the pivot, or even a little bit under the pivot. They were kind of lame. I mean, the usual flipper tab that you see in the market. And then again, he thought about that just a little bit, and he made the best flipper tab ever for me. I mean, along with the kickstop, that is very ingenious, the non-flipper flipper that is also ingenious, very ingenious, and the SLT from Gus Kinney, those are for me my favorite model. Why? Because I hate protruding part on the knife, and I hate that. I mean, to me, it brings it spoils the balance of a knife. So the smaller it is, or even the SLT, you don't even see it, the better. The kickstop, for example, you see it a little bit more when it's closed, but when it's open, they disappear, as the low profile does. So yeah, I've talked about that on previous video. The low profile flipper tab was a great add, and that's just a mechanical thing. I mean, you want to put a flipper tab either aligned with the pivot or on the upper side. The leverage is way more important than when it's here, of course. So starting from here, when you're going to flip the knife, you're going to have a tremendous amount of leverage. And you don't even have to put like a big part like that. And I would call them, you know, a dick tab. Sorry about the language. Pardon my French, I was going to say. Just make something square like that. It goes with the flow of the knife. You see, you don't even look at it as something polluting the design of the knife. And just a tad of jimping, like a couple of jimping here, and boom, it fires like a rocket. So yeah, he's ingenious, and he was here from the start. We have nowadays a lot of, I mean, a lot of people are investing on some makers that come and they go. this guy is part of history, and he is meaningful even in the present history. This is where we should invest our money, our time, our thoughts, not on people who are like coming and going, and you don't even know if they're going to be here like next year. It was the same for a lot of things like music. Nowadays we hear a lot of music, and people are just coming and going, but the big groups from the 70s, they stay, or even before. Those are meaningful. Okay, I will stop the rambling here, but Bob Terzuola is meaningful. And he doesn't make knives for people. He makes knives, okay, and that's it. Either you get a chance to get them or you don't. But he's not going to make a knife for you. So imagine the meaning that it has for me. And this is where I was a little bit overwhelmed. A lot overwhelmed, actually. It's because I developed, it's a more of a private matter now. I developed with Bob a kind of private relation, and he's more like family to me than anything else. And it shows on that knife. I'm going to talk to you about that, of course. But he's family, my daughter considers him as a grandfather, and Susie, his wife, her grandmother, and he thinks about the same. And you know that he also made, for my daughter's birthday, he made her as a present a knife, which was truly overwhelming, when it happened. So to me, oh man, Bob is just something else, And to you, it should be probably not that private part, but it should be something else, because that's just a tremendous part of knife history. So now, let's talk about this knife that is very, very meaningful and very special for me by all means and all features. First of all, I talked about the low-profile flipper tab. Bob knows that this drives me crazy, so he made me a low-profile flipper tab. He knows also that I'm just crazy for meteorite, and check this piece. You don't even see, on the meteorite, it's a thing coming from the sky. So whenever you're going to etch it, you're going to find some dots or imperfection. Look at this one. This piece is just, and those pieces are just pristine. You don't even see, on all the meteorite that I have on all my knives, there is always some dot of imperfection. This one has none. This piece of mammoth, this is something. 2 or 3 years ago, at a show, Bob found those pieces and showed them to me. And I told him, Bob, please, by all means, if ever you decide to make me a knife, keep that somewhere in your drawer and use it for me. And he did. So that and that only, to me, is sufficient to give you a glimpse of the man he is and what he has in mind. And that piece of mammoth drove me crazy. Why? Because you have all the shades that I love on mammoth. Here it's very, on the shiny part, it's going to be really white, ivory, and then it has some yellow, and then you see it's going to have some greens, some blues. The raw part, look at that, you almost feel the beast in it. It's incredible. And that matching those materials is part also of the human history, I would say. because that something came from the sky. Upper the sky there, from the space, the universe, and felt on Earth that those giants disappeared. So it has a kind of of general meaning inside also. So that is something that I appreciate. Then Bob knows me all too well. That I like also long clips and armor core. Armor core is one of the material that I like the most. Why? Because of its cosmetic aspect mostly. Senmai, I absolutely adore it. And when Senmai has a core that is satin, it brings such a contrast with the rest of the blade that is just crazy. Look at that. I mean, it's something that I adore. Of course, you can get now working with the material, you can get the satin part also with other core like CTA's XHP or other core, but with 6K and armor core, it's easier because it's already satin, and the contrast is just brilliant with the rest of the Damascus. Of course, what is a Senmai. You have the core here of one metal, which is here the armor. And then you have some Damascus, 2 layers of Damascus, which is an old technique used in Japan already. Like, oh man, it's already 9 minutes. I'm not going to discuss about Senmai. You all know what it is if you follow my channel here. So yeah, armor core was something that Bob knew I'd love, and I get it on this beautiful blade and on this clip. And for once, the core is perfectly centered. Look at that. On the clip, you can see It's perfectly centered here, perfectly centered there, perfectly centered here and there, perfectly centered on the back spacer. Look at that, how beautiful it is. So that's a very nice piece of armor core. Then something that I absolutely adore, and Bob knows me all too well, and he did for me, is like I love Persian style blade. I love Persian style. I love recurve. I get Persian, I get recurve, I get the armor core, I get the jimping there. The only thing that I didn't get is because of the thickness of the blade is the fuller here. That's the only thing that is missing. But other than that, I haven't told Bob nothing. And he just made me the perfect knife for my taste. So yeah, Persian, recurve, beautiful. And also, of course, I love complex grind with Bob. So this might look to you as... I was not going to say simple, but as a regular grind, but it is not. For those of you who missed it, it's a triple hollow grind. So bear with me. Here, on that part, you have the flat. That's it. Then that is a hollow. That is a hollow, and that is a hollow. So that's a triple hollow grind. And basically, that's my favorite grind. I mean, I love the fact that in it, it's complex, but it's not too funky with the quadruple grind, starting like that. I mean, to me, it keeps the flow of the Persian while being very complex at the same time. So I absolutely adore that. And man, does Bob know how to work this armor core. Look at that. The shiny part, you're not going to have like your regular hand rod or whatever. Bob does a finish that only he knows how to do it on his satin, and it's just fantastic. Check the centering. The action is good. I mean, the lock is perfect, early and secure. Check the inside of this backspacer. How beautiful it is. From all the sides, this knife is just sublime. So yeah, very nice lock. Centering is perfect. The action, it's a big blade. So the action is just great. And the retention is good. So for me, perfect action. It could be snappier. I mean, it's not going to be like your RJ Martin style, but that's fine by me. I mean, this is what I like. This won't open by accident. And of course, I'm not going to carry it in the pocket. So it's even less of a matter. But this is something that also Bob improved dramatically. His actions are way better. His engagement are earlier than they used to be. You know, that Bob used to make like very late engagement, and the detent, they were way softer than that, and that is also something that he improved in time. So not only is he significant, I mean, he has always been consistent in the knife world, but he's always improving. And man, is that I mean, the detail on this knife are just crazy. I love the cut that he makes here. When you're gonna check the junction here, it's gonna be absolutely flush. You don't see, and the material are so different. I mean, you have meteorite, you have mammoth here. You don't see any gap anywhere. So this is a bold part here, but the junction here is just flush, and that is something also that I can appreciate. This is something that I adore with Bob. He knows how to work with material like no one else. Even his G10, they look incredible. He's using like old material like mammoth. People would like waste this piece of mammoth. He knows how to work it and have some raw part, some shiny part there. He does that with buffalo, with all the material in the world. He does a perfect work of assembling the parts. He does a perfect work of getting some different shade. I mean, you check his different grind. They're crazy. You have triple, quadruple grind, simple grind, Persian. The variety of design are incredible with what he does. So yeah, my friend, I have barely 1.5 minutes to stop with that video. So my point is that Bob is not going to be here making knives. I hope he's going to be here in the world for 120 years. But he's not going to make a knife forever. You still have the possibility to get some other knives from him on the secondary market. This is something that you really should have in your collection. This will mean something in the decades to come. Other things that you're investing in, not so much. This is something you know you have a piece of history in your hand, and a piece of history that, again, is still evolving as time goes by. So that's why, to me, having some Terzuola is absolutely majorly important in my collection, and having this piece, this is gonna be a heirloom, my friend. This will go to my son, and hopefully he will pass it to his son and everything. And this will have a meaning. Like centuries later, it will still have some meaning. And that is something that I wanted to mention. You have the knife, you have the history, and you have the human part in it. And I'm going to leave it at that because I'm too overwhelmed to say even a word. And we have now 15 minutes. So bye-bye, and catch you very soon for another video. Bye.